together on the timing screen. A couple of times when prototype cars have been coming back up, they've been separated. But there's really nothing to choose between these two cars, and this is a proper old-fashioned Le Mans dogfight in the production-based category.
Yeah, for a long time, John, we've seen these cars running 10, 15 seconds apart, and by a long time we mean for hour after hour after hour early in the race. At the moment, they're still on the same lap. It looks like staying that way, and it really is a case of who's going to cough first in this LMP1, LMP2, and guess what, in GT2 as well. Battles in every class and problems in every class this morning as well.
Let's go down into the pit lane where we have got the 39 Lola AER, that's the Chamberlain Synergy car, coming back out onto the pit lane, and Joe Bradley can tell us about one of the cars we've been following for the last little while, which is the Scuderia Ecos. Had a problem with a recalcitrant wheel, Joe Bradley, and they had to take some fairly extreme measures on it.
Extreme measures of which I've never seen before. I don't think I've never seen anyone take a hammer and chisel to an alloy wheel of a Ferrari 430. I've never seen anyone take a chisel to an alloy wheel of anything, to be honest, not even a car. But what we had was this car coming in third place in the GT2 category and becoming absolutely bogged down in its pit because the left-hand rear wheel just would not come off of its hub. It appeared that the pegs had gotten broken off, and that's the great sound of that number 87 Ferrari rejoining this race after losing. I think that could have been a good 2 hours. Paul will be able to tell us better than I could.
Oh, hang on a second, Joe. We've got a car that is in flames out on the far side of the circuit. Oh, is that earlier on or is that live? No, I think that's live. That is the WR. Appreciate the wheel, and this could well bring out a safety car. That car is well alight. The marshal's already there with the foam. Now that is at the second chicane, second chicane, I was right the first time, just on the exit of it, 3/4 of the way down the Mulsanne Straight, and it's well off the racing line. So drama here at 14.5 minutes past 8. Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM. The car now shrouded in extinguishment. I can see a man in racing overalls pacing around, and I can see in fact only his boots. That is, appreciate the driver. There he is. So no worries about his safety, thank goodness. Well, we only saw the end of that conflagration.
Yeah, I suspect the safety car decision will be made based on whether the thing actually dropped anything onto the circuit before it caught fire. I mean, if it was dropping oil or something and then that ignited, then they'll bring the safety car out. But if it's just been parked and caught fire or whatever happened to it, but WRs always draw attention to themselves, don't they? They always do something.
I'm sure not intentionally setting the car alight just to get on TV in America, really.
And the Lamborghini has just come down the main straight completely sideways. That's drawing attention to itself as well.
That's in a better way. We like that.
Yeah. Lamborghinis going sideways are always spectacular. He'll wait for a gap in the traffic and then he'll point it back in the right direction.
Now there's still a bit of flame as the 17 Pescarolo continues. The Lamborghini slightly overdone it. We've seemed to have a flurry of pick activity, so maybe the team's expecting some kind of safety car. In comes the 17 car with Montagny at the wheel from second place. That's Graham Tyler's end of the pit. Graham?
Yeah, I was up with the Aston Martins a moment ago, so not able to get straight back down there, but I will via the Barassi Epsilon pit because they are on the go as well. We've got fuel going into the 7 car, and last time through it was Montagny who stayed at the wheel, and it doesn't look as though there's a driver change going on there either, John.
No, absolutely not. It's just going to be fuel, and we should say that's petrol this year, of course. Gasoline for our American viewers.
And off he goes.
Very unfussed. Very, very unfussed.
And on the subject of fuel, the Pescarolo's 12 laps per stint pretty reliably throughout the race, and that was another 12 lap stint for Frank Montagny, despite the very quick pace that he was running. I mean, he was putting in as quick a laps there as he was right at the beginning of the race.
That's Paul Truswell. This is Radio Le Mans.
GM Chevy Corvettes, racing memories on Radio Le Mans. Chevy Corvette, America's sports car. Then, now, always. Ron Fellows.
summer job I had working for a local natural gas company. There was a young guy who was a full-time there and single. He had a Corvette. I think it was an early 70s model, and he let me drive it. When I got in the seat, I remember being disappointed. I said, "Dude, this thing's an automat. What are you doing?" And then I was really fascinated with. I got fascinated sort of in the when I started racing in the late 70s, watching Trans Am, and at the time, this is probably early 80s, Epi Wheatzes drove, I think he won a Trans Am championship, I think 82, something like that. He drove a Corvette, and it was prepped by Brad Francis, and that thing just had, I mean, it was just worth standing by the edge of the racetrack at turn 10 at Mosport and listening to the engine. I mean, it just sang. It was just unreal. I get goosebumps just thinking about it now. And those were my first couple of memories of certainly a Corvette, and you know, one in production and one on the track.
Radio Le Mans with GM Chevy Corvette racing memories. Chevy Corvette, America's sports car. Then, now, always.
Welcome back to Radio Le Mans. We'll take a break for our speed listeners and viewers in just a moment. As you can see, Alan McNish has brought the number 7 Audi R10 TDI back onto the circuit after a turbocharger change, which Paul Truswell took how long exactly?
Well, it took 14 minutes to change the turbo, but he also lost about 2 minutes on his slow lap back to the pit. So altogether, 16 minutes lost.
Welcome back for our Speed TV viewers back in the United States of America. You've missed no major action here on Radio Le Mans 91.2 in association with Evo Magazines. Aston Martin leads GT1 from GM Chevy Corvette. Just about 2.5 minutes. There's not actually a full lap between those two cars, and they are 4th and 5th overall. Last time around, 3:56 by Stefano Telli, the leader, 3:55 dead by Magnussen chasing him down.
2 minutes 47 seconds separating them.
So the graphic that you're looking at there is taken, of course, at a particular point. The Aston Martin 007 in 3rd had its problems. In fact, the two GT cars in 3rd and 4th in that ranking there both had some problems, but the C5R, we haven't mentioned them for a little while, Paul, to be honest, and they've actually been going all right.
Yes,
worried about mentioning them now, frankly.
Precisely so. Yeah, no, they have been going all right. They haven't had any significant problems. The car goes extremely well when Jerome Policon is driving it, and goes adequately well when the other two are driving it. So they're doing a good job out there.
Now I want to go back down to the pit lane while we're seeing Stefano Telli, who leads the GT1 category, picking his way through the early morning light. Beautiful light at this time of the morning. Graham Tyler, bring us up to date with what's been going down at the pit-in part of the pit lane.
Yeah, just saw a stop for the number 27 Miracle Motorsports car, running on the Kumho tyres, come in with Ian James on board, who handed over to Andy Lally, American driver, on a full stop. We'll have a quick word with one of the mechanics. We saw a little bit of fluid coming out at the end there. Saw a little bit of oil coming out of the car, which I believe was just an overfill.
I believe it's an overfill, just a catch can. We haven't been using any oil, and we've been adding it every 6 hours.
Okay, reason for that being the oil temperatures have been going up, and they want to just keep as much fresh oil going in as they can. However, next door to them, John, while I'm down here, the number 12 garage we spoke to about half an hour ago, Sam Hancock out of that car complaining of problems. Those problems, I'm afraid, have become terminal, and they're beginning to de-rig the Courage pit, number 12, and indeed 13, which retired earlier on.
Thank you very much, Graham Tyler. At the other end of the pits, the drama has been all about Audi in the last half an hour or so. That's Joe Bradley, who's on the beat at that end of pit lane. All quiet at the moment, Joseph? Hello, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, it is, John. Now we've had the number 7 Audi out of its pit with that turbo change. You alluded to the fact that it's taken about 14 minutes. Car losing about 16, 17 minutes in total. Now, if you if you hang around, we might be able to get, I'm in a position to get the insight as to what exactly that problem was from Dr. Ulrich himself. He's just giving the ACO reporter his official update for the ACO's reports as to why the car was brought into the pits. And I'm just being very polite and standing by and waiting for my moment. We had Tom Christensen come in to the pits in the number 7 car, that car chasing back, having had problems of all sorts during the course of this race. The car took its pit stop. It was very routine, took fuel and a little oil replenishment, and then the car left the pit box and went out onto the track. And we heard from Tom Christensen a little while ago. He said that at that moment there, the turbocharger went. No indication whatsoever prior to that, and he was able to limp the car around. He lost a lot of time. Paul alluded to it losing 2 minutes in addition to its lap time. We're in the number 7 Audi pit, the car of Tom Christensen, now in the hands of Alan McNish. A fresh turbocharger being put on that car. That was a very difficult, tricky job for the team. You can imagine that turbocharger was probably reaching temperature of 1,000 degrees.
Just while we're waiting for Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, the team car with Marco Werner on board has just set its fastest lap of the race at 3:32.6. So clearly, when required, there is a bit left in those Audis. Now, how does Dr. Ulrich look? Does he look concerned, or does he look as sanguine as ever? Joe Bradley in the Radio Le Mans pit lane for Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM and Speed TV together in these early morning hours. Joe, what's the news?
He's looking like he's looked all week, John. He's looking like he's fully, totally engrossed and enjoying this Le Mans, no matter what the race seems to throw up. Dr. Ulrich, tell us exactly what the problem was. I saw a turbocharger going onto the car, but what do you think may have caused that?
Yeah, we do not know what caused that. We just have seen that the turbocharger is broken, and so we had to change it. It's an experience we have done the very first time. Since '99 we run always turbo engines, and it's the very first time we ever fail on the turbocharger. But it seems a little bit that today the car number 7 tries to collect anything that can happen. Yeah, they still go on as fast as possible, and that's what we're going to do.
You still look as though you are enjoying this Le Mans. You are rising to the challenge of this new diesel technology.
If you look at things that happen, it is not something that is linked to the technology. I mean, it is just things that can happen in Le Mans. And I always said, Le Mans is always bringing completely new experiences because it is every year different. And every year things happen that you think that would not happen. And the question is only how good can a team react and solve the problems.
Now then, from what you said there, is there any concern whatsoever that the problem that arose on the number 7 car may arise on the number 8 car?
It's difficult to say because in principle these problems that have happened to the car number 7 are not problems that we have found in our endurance runs, so it is just coming here.
The number 7, I think, had a problem with its injectors, Dr. Ulrich. Could you explain what exactly the problem was with that?
I can't tell you exactly what it was because you can't open inject and look into it, yeah? You just can find out whether it works or not. And here at Place we cannot do anything, and this was the reason why we changed all the injectors from one side to avoid that maybe we changed the wrong one.
Thank you, Dr. Ulrich. Great insight there from the Audi there, John. We can speculate until the cows come home, as we say, but there's nothing like talking to the man in charge. And I must just add that his demeanour and his body language tells me he really is enjoying this Le Mans, and he's kind of describing the problems that the car's had, and he's kind of smiling in a way and saying, you know, yeah, whatever that's going to throw at us, Le Mans throws a lot of things at people. We're just going to look at it, address it, overcome it, and get on with our race.
One thing, thank you, Joe. A full and complete answer, as you might expect, from Wolfgang Ulrich, the man at the top. Sad sight to see the Courage Mugen. Down comes the door, off goes the signage. They have abandonné. It's gone. Graham Goodwin and Paul Truswell listening to that with me, and a point that we were talking about, listening to that, Graham, you can bet that the injector problem and the turbo problem with Audi doesn't appear again. That, if necessary, will be completely re-engineered.
I'd offer you my own money on that one. They've got a good record in the past, John, of never these faults never really recurring. And you know, yeah, we're listening to Dr. Ulrich there explaining quite clearly, I think, for a factory team, extremely clearly what the problems have been. Yeah, I'd put good money that we're not going to see that happen again. We've got a car in trouble on the track there, John.
Yeah, it's one of the GT3 Porsches, Stefano at the wheel of that one. In the meantime, Graham, Andy Wallace has brought the leading P2 car in. Graham Tyler is down there. Graham?
Yep, Andy Wallace brings in the car that Ray Malek has prepared for the LMP2 category, the MG Lola, and he has jumped out of the car from the look of things from where I am. Yeah, and Mike Newton it is who'll get into the car. Gentleman driver, but you wouldn't know it from the times he puts in. Certainly very capable indeed. We'll go and chase down Andy Wallace in a minute. Next door, an erstwhile contender in the LMP2 class, the number 22 Deutsche Bank X-Market sponsored Roll Center Racing Radical, has spent a long time in the pit, sadly, and spending more time there now. Let's get into this garage, have a quick word with Andy Wallace, make sure everything's still going to plan. The smile is still on the face, Andy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Starting these races at 5 o'clock is a silly idea because it takes so long. It feels like more than 24 hours. Car's going really well though, but obviously still a long way to go, and you can't say anything or do anything till you actually see the checker flag. But I'm very happy with the car.
But it must be comforting to have that eight lap cushion that you have.
Well, it is, but you know what? One problem, and that can disappear in a heartbeat. So it doesn't really mean anything. All it means, I suppose, is you haven't got to absolutely back over every curve inside and smash into every slow car you see. You can just take it a little bit easier.
Now, although you're a fairly late entry into this car, there's some family history between this car and the one you race over in America.
I'm sorry, I caught the first half of that, sir.
Yeah, there's some family history between this car you're driving this weekend for Ray and the car you run over in America.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same chassis that I drove at Sebring in the 12 hours, and we finished second in LMP1 in there. And I love the car, actually. It's really, really nice to drive. Yes, it's so well balanced and absolutely beautiful.
So what's the chance of you persuading Rob Dyson to come over and have a crack at this?
I think he will one day. The time has to be right, though, and of course with a brand new engine, they weren't going to come over with that.
Okay, Andy, thanks for that.
This is Radio Free Le Mans.
Graham Tyler in the pit lane with Andy Wallace on the big screens. We're watching Alan McNish make his way around the circuit at just after 12:30. We'll do our hourly update with Graham Tyler in a moment, but as we've got the speed chaps with Paul Truswell, rather, the hourly update. Sorry, Graham, panicked you into running for a screen there. As we've got the speed viewers with us at the moment, thought we might recap on something we were talking about earlier this morning here on Radio Le Mans. We were down at Aston Martin for 2 hours in an exclusive insight to their corporate hospitality, the new DBS from the Bond movie, with Daniel Craig as the new James Bond, and the new Casino Royale movie coming out. The new DBS unveiled here. Absolutely stunning. Managed to get a word with David Richards from ProDrive and Graham Goodwin from dailysportscar.com, who's alongside me. He had something fairly significant to say. Just in casual conversation, asked him the question that all of our emailers always ask about Astons, and particularly the Aston Martin Racing Astons and the American Le Mans Series.
I think very significant indeed for people who follow the series, and that's that you can now expect that the Aston Martin Racing pair of DBR9s will contest all remaining rounds of the American Le Mans Series. So we've got the two British Racing Green Astons up against the two Velocity Yellow Corvettes for the rest of the season, John. That's great news.
It's fantastic news for any sports car enthusiast. The Minassi and Pescarolo in from 13th position. That looks fairly straightforward. So while that's happening, we'll take the opportunity to bring everyone here at the circuit and on Speed TV and on RadioLeMans.com up to date. Paul Truswell has the Audi hourly update.
Radio Le Mans. the sound of Sarthe.
The hourly updates are brought to you by Audi, celebrating 25 years of Quattro.
15 hours and 33 minutes into the race, 245 laps completed by the number 8 Audi R10. Marco Werner at the wheel, and he leads by not quite 2 laps, a little bit under 2 laps, from the number 17 Pescarolo, Franck Montagny, who has done 243 laps compared to, actually it's more than 2 laps now, the gap. 246 laps now for Marco Werner, 243 laps completed from Franck Montagny. Third is number 7, Alan McNish, now at the wheel of the second Audi. That's completed 10 laps fewer, 233 laps, so 10 laps behind at the moment, Alan. Fourth, the leading GT1 car, number 009, the Aston Martin DBR9. Stefan Ortelli currently at the wheel of that one, and it's completed 231 laps, just 2 fewer than Alan McNish in the Audi. Fifth is the second car in GT1, car number 64, the Corvette C6R of Jan Magnussen, 230 laps completed, but the gap is 2 minutes and about 50 seconds, so 2 minutes 50 seconds separating Ortelli from Magnussen for the lead of the GT1 category. Sixth fastest and leader of the LMP2 category is the MG Lola. Mike Newton having just taken that car over from Andy Wallace and just settling himself into his first flying lap behind the wheel of that car. Seventh is the 007 Aston Martin, Thomas Enger at the wheel of that car, and he's put in some very quick laps indeed, the fastest GT1 lap probably ever recorded at Le Mans on this version of the circuit. 3 minutes 50.770 seconds. And then 8th fastest, number 72, the C5R Corvette of the Luc Alphon Aventura team, 224 laps completed. 9th, number 62, another LMGT1 category car, and this is the Russian Age Racing Aston with Antonio Garcia at the wheel. And then rounding out the top 10, another car to recently complete its fastest lap of the race so far. That's Johnny O'Connell, who's been going very quickly in the number 63 Corvette.
Radio Le Mans is under new management, and it's back to our roots with more live coverage, more competitions, more fun, and more audience participation. Radio Le Mans. Still the same price to the listener. Absolutely free. You're listening to this now, and so is the biggest motorsports audience in the world. They could be your customers. For details on how to support Radio Le Mans next year and reach your kind of people, email info@radiolemans.com for details of packages and sponsorship opportunities. Radio Le Mans. Radio Le Mans. We don't broadcast, we narrowcast. No wastage, just quality prospects for your business. info@radiolemans.com. Radio Le Mans is a Radio Show Limited production on behalf of the ACO. Radio Le Mans.
Back to Paul Truswell for the GT2 updates.
Yes, just to finish off the that update, 83 is the leading GT2 runner, as it has been for most of the race, the Cycle Motorsport Porsche. Second in that class is the number 93, the Team Taizan Advan Porsche, and then third in the GT2 class is the number 81, the Team LNT Peugeot. Porsche Peugeot in GT2.
Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik.
That's the hourly update with Paul Truswell here on Radio Le Mans as we come up to almost 20 minutes to 9. The circuit coming alive, people starting to come back into the circuits, arousing from their nighttime activities, whatever they were, down at the fairground, grabbing some coffee or just having a snooze. As I pulled into the car park this morning down in the TV compound, found a little space to put the car into, just started reversing into it, and Eve, my wife
is the word,
yes,
John. Wife's the word.
Stopped me, and I'm pleased she did, because there was 3 of the TV crew lying in the gap between the 2 cars.
That'll teach them.
They very nearly got Audi'd, got to tell you. Let's quickly just go down for a very quick update. I'm aware we've got to go for a break here on Speed in a second. Graham Tyler can give us a quick 20-second update at the far end of the pit lane, the pit-in end. Graham?
Yeah, thanks. Let's start with the car that's currently in, the number 50 Labre Competition F550 Maranello. The Ferrari, Jean-Luc Blanchemin brings the car in, gets a splash of fuel. to that glorious sound away he goes. Just a little moment ago we had the number 9 creation in the pit next door, and that was a full service and a driver change. Felipe Ortiz taking over from Beppe Gabbiani. John, and back to you.
At the other end of the pit lane, we'll grab Joe Bradley for an update when we come back from the ad break on Speed TV. You're listening to Radio Le Mans 91.2 FM, race tuned for 2006, and in association with Evo magazine. Dr. Ulrich looking a little more relaxed now as he takes a banana, as Marco Werner is absolutely flying a 32.515. That car's best lap set recently, and his last lap around a 3:33.0. Just giving you an idea that when necessary, these Audis can turn up the wick if diesels do have such a thing. On Speed TV and at radiolemans.com, as well as 91.2 here at the circuit. This is...
Listening in is Frederick Dorr, the man who took charge of Care Racing and brought the beautiful Ferrari 550 Maranellos in. A little bit of explanation going on from Thomas about the handling of the car so the engineers can make best use of all the feedback that they get from him. Thomas, was that a double or a triple stint you did there?
No, it was double stint. I don't think we are... I don't think we have good temperature in the car for triple stint so far. So no, it was double stint. I mean, we are double stinting since beginning, and it seems to be quite good. The temperature inside the car has decreased much more since last year. The team did some changes for that, and it's much better. Last year we were just able to single stint. This year we can double stint easily. We will see when the temperature rise up and what we can do, but I think we can finish like this.
Thank you, Thomas. Let's go back to LMP2. We spoke a little earlier on to Andy Wallace. Let's talk to his team boss, Ray Mallock.
Ray, you know what it takes to win this class at Le Mans. You are current Le Mans champions. Things going to plan?
Things going absolutely according to plan right now. Yeah, we've had a nice trouble-free run for some time now, since we had the 20-minute stop at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Cars run really well. In fact, shortly after that, we developed what we thought was an engine vibration. We had that for about 3 hours, but Andy reports that that's gone away completely, and the car is running perfectly at the moment. Touch wood.
As ever, touching of the wood. Now, Mike Newton's in the car at the moment, Ray, and we refer to Mike as a gentleman driver, but it's becoming harder to do that now because his pace is pretty much on a professional level.
Yeah, he's doing an amazing job this weekend, as he has all season. He's really getting to grips with the prototype and doing us proud.
Tell us a little bit about RML X-Power and what that's all about. I take it it's performance bits and pieces that RML are putting out for the MG owners?
Well, yeah, that's right. It's part of what we're doing, really, in continuing to fly the MG flag, and we started to get quite a few people talking to us about how we could help them improve the performance of their MGs and help support us at the racetrack. So hence RML X-Power has been born, and it's been very well received.
Well, that's great news. So I've got a little MGF at home. I need to ring out RML and see how I can improve the performance.
We'll speak to you next week.
Thanks, Rick. Great to hear. And fingers and toes crossed for you boys. The British are rooting for you.
Thanks very much.
Into the pit lane just behind you is the leader, Joe Bradley. Now wombles back up towards the end of pit lane as Marco Werner comes in just for a full tank of diesel, and I think Graham Tyler has done a bit of an overlap.
We've done a little leapfrog job on Joe here, but he was talking to Ray Mallock. I've come up to the Audi end, and Marco Werner bringing the car in and staying in the car. It will only take fuel from the look of things. There are tyres prepared, but it doesn't look as though they're going to be laid back. There's a little adjustment being made on the front there just to tighten down the... no, it's not that. They're taking the front bodywork off, just checking something, saying lift it away, put it back on please. Okay, front bodywork goes back on again. Two little ratchet jobs, the clips come back on, and the headlights indeed were the problem, and they both light up, and away goes Marco.
Let's not forget, thank you Graham, that that was the car that did have the nose cone changed. With that headlight, the left-hand front headlight wasn't on, and therefore the marshal wouldn't let him out, took his life in his hands, stood in front of the car, and obviously that nose cone not quite seated properly as Graham Tyler sees that car on its way. And we're 8:45 now in the morning. 91.2 FM. Mark Laverna back out, setting some stunning laps. He got down to a 32.0 on his last lap before his in lap. So clearly that Audi still has performance in reserve. But quite frankly, the Pescarolo behind them, to be honest, Paul, has never really pushed them for pace all the way through the race.
No, they came up with a very good theory, and it was all to do with the way that the cars used the tyres. And I mean, you can kind of believe it, because the Audis are very powerful. They will have more downforce. The Pescarolo's running with less downforce, and that will give them more straight line speed. But it works the tyres less hard, and that means it's a bit more critical that you have the right tyre on the car at the right time. And I think they've just struggled with the flexibility of having to do triple stints on the tyres, but deal with changing temperatures as the day has progressed, or as the night has progressed, as the case may be. But no, they've really been at a disadvantage. I mean, you only have to look at their fastest laps. When the pace is really there, the Audis can do it. When they get a clear lap, they can just bang in a couple of really quick laps, and they can bang in quick parts of laps so they don't get held up by traffic. Pescarolos keep on having slow laps.
Now this bodes very well, does it not, for the American Le Mans Series. Brad Kettler from Champion Motorsport is in the Yost pit, has been all weekend, has been since really this car was rolled out at Sebring, and confirmed to us on Radio Le Mans 2 cars for the American Le Mans season after Lime Rock. There won't be at Lime Rock, that's going to be the swan song of the R8 in a couple of weeks' time. But after that, 2 of these cars, I think that's a dogfight between the P2 Porsche RS Spiders and this new technology from Audi.
And indeed, Rob Dyson's cars too, which are getting up to speed rather nicely too, John. They're fabulous machines. I mean, they've not got the kind of the noise, the pleasure you get from the noise of a race car, perhaps, but in every other measurement, the way these things go around the corners, the way these things can actually attack a racetrack, the way, as Paul's just been saying, that you can turn up the wick and just chuck out times like that almost at will, it's a fantastic thing.
The voice of Graham Goodwin, assistant editor of dailysportscar.com, and don't forget our special offer this week at radiolemans.com. All of our listeners and viewers now on speed, a chance to sample some of the best Le Mans coverage on the web free of charge. All you've got to do is go to www.dailysportscar.com. Click on headlines, and when you're prompted, put in the username Radio Le Mans, all one word, all small, all lowercase, no gaps, Radio Le Mans, and the password is LM2006. Again, no gaps in that. Radio Le Mans is the username, and LM2006. There's a whole week's worth of reading after the race. You can log on right now if you're at home watching or listening. Radio Le Mans and Daily Sports Car. Comprehensive, comprehensible. Don't wait, have it now. Down to the pit lane, Ron Fellows, everyone's favourite Canadian, is with his mate, Graham Tyler.
Yes, certainly mine. Ron Fellows out of the 63 Corvette. Johnny's at the wheel at the moment. Had a bit of an accident early on, and he's been chasing the race ever since.
Yeah, we had I'm not sure what happened in just outside the first hour, and then I think we had a clutch problem in the middle of the night as well. And then Max got a 3-minute stop and go for some. Nobody seems to know exactly what it was. But, yeah, we've been a little unlucky, but we're hanging in there. Car's decent. The repairs the guys made, the car working fine. It's we'll just keep plugging away.
Now, since test day a fortnight ago, you elected to stay over here. You've been having some holiday time?
Yeah, actually, the week between Linda and our 2 boys, we went to Rome for the week in between. So it was incredibly historic experience. Obviously, in North America, there isn't anything anywhere near that old that we know of. No, it's great. This is a great pilgrimage we make every early summer, and yeah, we'll see how many more we do of these.
Well, let's hope this isn't the last one, Ron. The 1 or 2 little hints have been dropped this weekend, and I don't want to see that happen. Well, you never know. It's yeah,
I love driving this Corvette. It's great fun, a tremendous group of guys, and yeah, we'll see.
If nothing else, you have to come back next year because Linda said she wants to go to Florence, please. There you go. I think I've been dismissed. We're
good
going
effort
to
though,
talk
Mr.
to,
Tyler. Very good effort there.
We're going to talk about the Radical. This is a chassis new to Le Mans this year in the LMP2 class, run by Martin Short and the Roll Centre Racing team. And to tell you about that, here's Joe Bradley.
Thank you, Graham. Yeah, a manufacturer brand new to sports car racing, not just Le Mans, and a British one at that. Radical made their name with motorcycle engine prototypes for club racing. They've now moved into proper sports car racing, let's say. This car, the Deutsche Bank X-Markets car, is in the pits, unfortunately. Car number 22 it is, in the LMP2 class, and it was certainly in line for a podium position. We interviewed Martin Short, the man behind this team, putting this team together, and was the driver at the time of our interview. We just brought the car in, and he complained of a snagging clutch. That has come back to haunt this car because right now the car is in its pit garage, it's on its stands on the trestles about 3 foot in the air, the gearbox is split off the back of the engine along with the rear axle, and they are engineering a new clutch. It's not just a case of fitting a clutch by it, what I can see, but they're having a few more problems than just taking the old unit off and putting a new unit on. So it's a little bit longer than it would normally take. It's not the sort of job that you can do in the matter of moments. It's a big job, and it's going to take a little bit while longer before this number 22 car gets back into the race.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Behind you, the Zytek pulls into the pit lane, the red, white and blue Essex-sponsored car. Graham Tyler has wandered a little bit further up the pit lane from Corvette, where there are a number of garage doors pulled down, Graham, and for non-aficionados of Le Mans, that sadly means bad news. Must just mention the LNT Peugeots that we're seeing on the screen at the moment. The boss of the team, Lawrence Tomlinson, is at the wheel, and third position in the GT2 category. Quite remarkable, and Graham Goodwin reminds me that this is significant for two reasons. First, because this is the first of the customer Peugeot cars, and secondly, for another reason entirely, but that will be relevant to our American TV audience at the moment.
Yeah, well, anybody watching Speed's coverage or even at the track at the 12 Hours Sebring this year will remember, actually not this car, but another of the 3 Peugeot Esperantes this team actually runs in Europe. They finished a fantastic 5th in class, their debut with the car. A track we know is absolutely punishing. Now that's significant because it's the best finish by a non-ALMS team this decade. These guys have been coming on with these cars ever since in the Le Mans series and also in the National British GT Championship, and coming on in leaps and bounds. What a wonderful run so far with 8 hours to go to be third in that class, John.
And meantime, the GT2 leader has just popped into the pit lane. This is the 83 Porsche down in the pit lane, and Joe Bradley is there. This looks routine, Joe.
This car has been going like clockwork all night long, and I know, having said that, I'm going to put the curse of the commentator on it. I hope it doesn't. It's taking on fuel, it's taking on an oil replenishment, it's sticking with its tyres. The driver is going to do another stint. It really has worked absolutely fantastically. It's been leading this GT2 class for pretty much the majority of this race so far. It got the lead earlier in the evening last night, and it's remained there ever since. And once again, we've just witnessed a very, very simple and what looked like routine pit stop from that Farnbacher Racing number 83 Porsche.
Now, down right at the pit-in end, we will be excuse me, we will be having a Pescarolo stop in a few moments' time. Graham Tyler, however, has some bad news for Spiker Squadron fans. Graham?
Yeah, it's a great shame. We had the number 86 car holding a solid second place for the Spiker Squadron. They entered 2 cars, one went out earlier, but the 86 car was really travelling along well. And no sooner did I turn my back and head off for a shower and a quick change of clothing so I don't smell quite like a dead goat when it comes to 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, that car dropped a valve and it's out. Meantime, as I turn round, I'm greeted by the view of the 64 Corvette making its routine stop. There'll be no driver change here. It's a regular Pratt & Miller style stop, so routine to the end. It's second in class, all looking very serene in there, no problem whatever. Fuel still going in, the crew is standing by with it. There we go, out comes the fuel filler, on go the front wheels first. This is always the way the Pratt & Miller crew work. It's like a ballet, they just dance around each other, getting the equipment in place, the wheels move, down comes the car. Easy as that, nothing to it. And a round of applause will tell you all about team spirit here.
Now let's bring in our American correspondent, appropriate as we're currently live on Speed TV. We'll be taking a break from them in just a second. But let's say a very good morning here in France. It's the small hours of the morning in Jacksonville, Florida. Well, Charles Dressing joins us. Hello, Chuck.
Good morning.
How are you feeling, sir, first of all?
Not bad at all. I've had about 4 or 5 hours sleep, and I was laying there wide awake, and I said, why am I laying here in the dark when I could be watching Le Mans? And the answer was because I'm stupid. So I got up and came in here to see what was going on. Oh, what have we here on pit lane, he asked.
The number 17, second place, Pescarolo, coming in on cue. We got the nod 3 laps ago that it would come in, and 3 laps later it certainly has. This looks again like a very routine stop. Joe Bradley is there. We'll take a break on Speed in just a moment. So Joe, down to you for about a minute.
Yeah, we are in a routine stop for this number 17 Pescarolo. We had Eric Hillary handing the car over to Frank Montagny. We've got Frank Montagny handing that car over to Sebastian Loeb. The World Rally Champion indeed gets into the car. Now then, we had Eric Hillary report that he triple stinted on a set of tyres and the tyres were not worn out at all. And that's why he brought the car in earlier and handed it over to Frank. Frank has managed to get a little bit more speed out of the car, but that might be due to the increase in ambient temperature or track temperature. Off the jacks then, Sebastian Loeb plugs his radio in as he fires it up and guns it away. Did you see that on camera?
Yeah.
That was fabulous.
Pulls away, a little bit of opposite lock, one-handed, and the left hand is plugging the radio and the driver information code in at the same time. That's why Sebastian Loeb is World Rally Champion, because he can multitask. And just in case you think I'm making that up, scientifically proven that when they are running, listening to pace notes and driving at anywhere around about 80 to 100 miles an hour, World Rally drivers take in more information and multitask more than a fighter pilot when he's dogfighting. That's the capability of the brain within the helmet that's in the head, that's behind the wheel of the second place car. Sebastian Loeb, the World Rally Champion, is behind the wheel of the second place car at Le Mans. We'll take a short break from the action for those of you who are watching on Speed.
Always on Radio Le Mans.
Welcome back to our viewers on Speed TV in the United States of America, just after 9 o'clock here in France. And as part of our tie-up with the magazine Evo this year, now thanks to them for supporting Radio Le Mans, Evo's Roger Green and Peter Tomlin are driving to this year's Le Mans in a replica Lotus 11. It's a Westfield, they built it themselves, and it's featured in the latest issue of the magazine. How long is it going to take them? If you think you know, you could win a super prize, a money can't buy, access all areas supercar test as part of the Evo team. So for your chance to win, follow these steps. All you've got to do is text the word Evo, that's EVO, plus your answer to 83426. That's Evo and your answer in numbers. So if you think it's going to take them 11 hours and 53 minutes, it's 11:53, okay? It'll cost you £1 plus your standard operator SMS race. And we're hoping to speak to Peter Green and Peter Tomlin at some stage, find out how they've done. They were hoping to get here for the start of the race. I don't think that's happened, frankly. We did tell them we couldn't take the motorways either. Right, let's get down to the pit lane and first of all check in with Graham Tyler, who's at the pit out end of the pit lane. We've just seen a pit stop for the second place car. We'll go back to Joe in that pit in a moment. But first of all, Aston Martin in at the top end of the pit lane, Graham.
Yes, they are indeed. But I've come a little further up in again as the Aston Martin pulls away, gets back onto the track. That's the GT1 leading car. And we've got a pit stop due to us from the number 7 Audi. They're on the lap 13, and as Paul Truswell told us earlier, they've been routinely running 14 lap stints, so we're expecting that car in pretty much any time. I was also hovering a little further on again up in the sort of semi-permanent pits, which are due for demolition any time now to be replaced by some brand new ones. And there we find the home this year at least of the Flying Lizard Motorsports team, number 80 Porsche. Not had everything their own way. Started with the fact that Johannes van Overbeck had an accident on his push bike on Thursday night and ended up with cuts and abrasions and bruising to his left shoulder. But he's toughed it out and is getting prepared to go for another one. We've got a Corvette stop, which is going to be a driver change. Johnny O'Connell handing over to the man I was talking to just a few minutes ago, Ron Fellows, diving into the 63 car. Been a number of suggestions to me this year that this might be Ron's last Le Mans, and I think we need a petition, frankly, because the place wouldn't be the same without him.
No, absolutely right, Graham. He still has, excuse me, he still has the fever, as we would say, and that's something that we like about Ron. He really has this whole thing under his skin. He has the same sickness as the rest of us.
Absolutely right, and not only is he a fine driver, he's a fine ambassador for our sport and a true gentleman. The wheels go on. It's the same routine that Pratt & Miller have done time and time and time again, usually without any problem whatever. The car fires up and Rocket Ron takes it away.
There's no suggestion, Graham, is there, that Ron's going to hang up his racing gloves completely, just not come back to Le Mans? Is that what I understand?
That's what I've been hearing, and at some point you can't help but blame these guys. It's a very punishing schedule. We think we have it hard doing the broadcasting for over 24 hours and more, but it's nothing like the ordeal these people have to put themselves through with the G-forces, the heat, the loss of fluids from the body. It's just punishing stuff.
Paul Truswell is alongside me.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on what Graham was saying. Alan McNish due into the pits fairly shortly, and if you are around the circuit, you can see the car coming. If he's on the screen, then watch him, because he's on his last 3 laps now. He's on lap 241 of the stint as I've got it, and he should be coming in at the end of lap 244. So this lap and then 2 more. And generally what will happen here is, because the fuel load is lightning, he's pushing on as far as he can. It's not him who's the fastest driver in the car either, and that will motivate him, because it's Christensen who's the fastest driver in the car so far. So I just think that we might be seeing this might be the opportunity that Alan takes. He's in the car. The tyres are as fresh as they're going to be, given the fuel load, so it's kind of the best balance. So the next 3 laps might be quite entertaining for Alan. They might at least be quite quick, Graham.
And Paul, they're about to show them the board which says P3 and lap 13. So if that's the conclusion of lap 13, then he will be doing a 15 stint. But if that is the commencement of lap 13, then it'll be the regular 14, and I'll leave it up to you to let us know.
Well, I'll leave it up to Mr. Hausner, Joe Hausner, who's looking after that car. He can decide. It's not really up to me, although, you know, I can make suggestions.
No, clearly he has to ask your permission and see what kind of smoke comes out of the top of our position here before they're allowed in. Audi, Pescarolo, Audi, Aston Martin in 4th place. 3:41 is still the gap between those two. As into the pit lane comes the Flying Lizard. Goes out, rather, the Flying Lizard. No, comes in, sorry, they're right up at the top. Charles Dressing is listening to us. Quite a lot of attrition this year, Charles, particularly, funnily enough, as the Portal Player Flying Lizard car comes in and parks up in the annex, as it were, particularly among the Porsches. We've already seen the Peterson White Lightning car bite the dust. Tracy Crone Racing sponsoring that car, and that's unusual. We expect to see the little Porsches particularly just reel off the laps.
We're like a little machine tool, and when I heard that the White Lightning car had been parked, I kind of took the palm of my hand and bumped my temple a couple of times to make sure that that's what I was hearing, because you do expect them to act like a little lathe, just keep grinding away until 5 o'clock, at which point everybody in a Porsche goes and stands on the podium.
Now, Charles, we were talking earlier on, just before the news, about the prospect of Aston Martin for the whole season in the American Le Mans Series, confirmed on Radio Le Mans by none other than David Richards yesterday morning in our little 2-hour morning brunch session down at Aston Martin. That's a massive fillip not only to the GT1 battle of the American Le Mans Series, but to the series as a whole.
Well, to have Aston Martin stay for the whole year, I had said a quiet prayer, which is something I don't often do. Prayer is not tradition, but I've said a quiet prayer that they would stay with us, simply because it will make everybody at Corvette happy, and a happy bunch of Corvette racers is a potent bunch of Corvette racers, because those people want somebody to race of their caliber, and ProDrive certainly stands shoulder to shoulder with Pratt and Miller and vice versa.
You probably didn't see it, but before the race, as we've got Andy Lally in another ALMS series car, the Kumho tyres, second place now in LMP2 behind yes. That will send shockwaves around the tyre world if that Kumho tyres car gets on the podium. They sparked Michelin into action last year here when it looked like they might take pole position for a little while, and fair play to them. They've done a very good job. Just back to the American Le Mans Series for a moment. As we are talking to a mainly US audience, it seems at the moment, given our email content and indeed the fact that we're on speed. Just thinking about that, the Aston Martin Corvette battle, which I am already getting very excited about, particularly when we go to tracks like Road America later in the year, the new facility at Miller Motorsports Park, both over 4 miles around on the lap. Those big fast GT1 cars can really stretch their legs there, and I think we're going to have a real spectacle, Charles.
Indeed we are, simply because those two courses, one very old and one very new, are blood relatives of this course we find ourselves on today. Those cars will be blindingly fast, and they are cars that share their DNA with the great Le Mans cars of the past.
Thanks, Charles, for the time being. In the pit lane is the leader, Alan McNish, and it's who at that end of the pit lane now? I think it's Graham, isn't it?
It's Graham. McNish actually currently holding third place. It's the 8 Audi leading the pack.
Sorry.
But McNish taking a drink, looking very calm and composed in the car. It will be diesel fuel only going into to the car. No tyres offered up or to be taken. Everybody looks very calm. Off comes the filler, and away goes Alan. And that's as much noise as a diesel racing engine need make.
Didn't even squeal the tyres, McNish, that time. I'm sorry, I'm so used to the car with Christensen in being in the lead, I just went to default mode, that as I have done all this century, of course, for that. Paul Truswell is eyeing his notebook and eyeing the timing and scoring screen.
Well, yes, I mean, it was a 14-lap stint, as Graham suggested it would, and the clockwork machine of yours suggested it was. But what happened was that there were no particularly stunning laps from Alan, which makes me think one of two things. Either he met traffic on the laps and he didn't want to take any risks, or the car isn't quite working for him. And that was the car that had a new under tray fitted at some point during the race, and it has had problems, that car, and I just wonder if there is something that's not quite well with it. They've recognised the fact that they're the last LMP1 car that's realistically in the race, and that the one ahead of it is 10 laps, and that's too far ahead of it to catch. So
I'm sorry?
They wouldn't admit...
It's half an hour. That's all.
Well, if everybody else stops,
minutes.
Yeah. It will take them 45 minutes to catch up if they stop.
Well...
well, we'll see. I mean, there is a long way to go, John.
We've just been
nearly 8 hours.
Watching the GT2 battle. Just had a quick look at the leader there with Pierre Herret in the lead. That car, remember, the Cycle Motorsport car, only in the race a couple of weeks ago. Here's Lawrence Tomlinson bringing the third place Penos Esperante, the Team LNT car, into the pit lane. Joe Bradley is on the scene for Radio Le Mans and Speed TV.
Yes, John, the orange panos came screaming into pit lane. Lawrence Tomlinson bringing the car to a halt and now handing that car over to Tom Kimber-Smith. As I speak, the fuel is going in. The hose men are at the car. That's the fuel over. Now the tyre men can go to work. The ice pack for the cool suit being replenished in the passenger side of the sports car. The front tyres are on. You can hear the tyres in the background. The rear tyres are now going on. This is a very good pit stop from the LNT boys. And the Panos Esperanti has been going very well indeed. Just plodding round Le Mans. Little bit of attention on the back windscreen. The driver drinks replenishment going in as a final thought. And very soon this car will be off its jacks. The empty bottle is passed into the pit. Caught very well indeed. He'll get he should get a tryout for the Dallas Cowboys with that kind of catch.
Oh,
now there's still
how cosmopolitan of you, Mr. Bradley.
Well, yeah. They're still going. They were still replenishing the cool box. The car started. The car was going. Started as it came off the jacks, and when it hit the ground, it kind of stalled. Tom Kimber-Smith free-fired the car up, and it's back out there. Good pit stop from these boys.
Tom Kimber-Smith, probably a name that is unfamiliar to our American viewers at the moment. Graham Goodwin of dailysportscar.com. He's had a meteoric rise, and actually he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, Tom's been concentrating up until this season on a single-seater career, realised that wasn't really going to work out for him, and he's been persuaded by Richard Dean, who's the commercial manager at Team LNT, and by Lawrence Tomlinson, who owns the whole shebang, that perhaps sports cars might be the way to go. And his maiden voyage out in a GT car, John, was indeed the 12 hours of Sebring, and coming home 5th place there behind some of the best sports car races in the world, I think put a smile on that young man's face and hasn't left him since. I don't think he's actually finished off the podium since then in any races contested in one of those Panos. I'm fairly certain that's right.
And he was, or at least the team, with Lawrence Tomlinson, the boss man, who also owns Ginetta, by the way, in the UK. He's recently acquired that. But I do hear rumours that Van Diemen is on his shopping list as well.
I've heard that rumour.
Interesting, because you know who owns Van Diemen at the moment?
Yeah, I do.
The guy whose car he's driving.
Begins with a P and ends with a Z.
Yes, Dr. P. Just a quick word about that GT2 battle, Graham, because it is hotting up there, because that Team LNT car was closing in on the Taizan Porsche ahead of it.
Yeah, very much so. I think by dint of the fact it's on the second page of timing, we'd rather miss that, but certainly at the point at which Lawrence brought the car into the pits there, it was just 3 seconds adrift on the previous lap, and it had been well further back than that before. So I'm guessing he must have taken 20-25 seconds out of that lead, even accounting for the fact that you've obviously got the pit stop to actually go for as well. But Tom's a quick boy. I think we're going to see that gap actually come down now.
Now in GT1, staying with the production-based cars, the Aston Martin 009, Stefan Ortelli at the wheel, has still got Jan Magnussen a little over 3.5 minutes behind him, although it's showing it a lap down on the rankings at the moment by dint of the fact that Magnussen is in fact just ahead of Ortelli on the track effectively. But this is still, and this is one of the great joys of sports car racing for me. You've got Ortelli and Magnussen racing each other as hard as possible, and they're almost a full lap apart, but the race is on.
The race is very much on. They're going to know exactly what they've got to do. They're going to know exactly where their competitor is on the track. They know, the other guy knows. You know, whatever can actually be taken out there, whether it's a tenth, whether it's half a second, whether it's a full second, is going to put the other guy under more pressure. This is a race. The fact they can't actually see each other on the track, nothing whatsoever to do with it. And this GT1 battle, albeit we've not got 6-7 cars nose to tell, we have got 6 GT1 cars in the top 10 overall of this race, and there is everything to play for. Let's not forget, we've got almost 8 hours of racing still to go here. That's what 3 and a bit American Le Mans Series sprint races.
Good,
and,
yeah.
you know, let's face it, reliability might still welcome into it.
Well, look at what happened in that category last year, and if there's ever a graphic illustration of you have to be there at the checkered flag, that was it.
Radio Le Mans with Evo Magazine, race tuned.
Now, I've just been handed the Météo France Atmogram, which for those of you who are not well versed in such things is the weather forecast, and we do have a Météo France station right here at Le Mans because it's on the airport, which is literally a couple of hundred meters behind me at the moment. And what I'm looking at is a lot of cloud formations and a little averse localement orages and orages possible in the late afternoon, sometime between 2 and 5 o'clock this afternoon. And that, for those who didn't decipher my terrible French accent, means thunderstorms later on this afternoon. That is what the guys on site are